Well, hello everybody, Jeff here from the Learn Portrait Drawing channel, and in this video we are going to finish where we left off on the last video and complete this portrait right here. Now in the last video I documented what it looked like for the first hour of the drawing. We started with nothing and we ended up with a rough sketch. In this video we take off right where we left off and we finish it. We smooth it out, we make a bunch of changes, we fix all the mistakes that we made on the first part, and we end up with this right here. It's going to be a great video. I hope you learn a lot, and before we get on to it, I just want to say thank you so much for watching and commenting, giving me those thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. It really means a lot to me. It lets you know when I have these new videos come out, and together we just have so much fun on this channel, and I really look forward to interacting with you guys. Alright, enough talking. Let's get on and leave off where we left off on the last video. Finish this right here. Alright everybody, so we're just gonna jump right into this, and you see me erasing an eye. That's because where we left off on our last video, I noticed that the angle of the eyes, the way I had it, you could see it wasn't quite as slanted. So what I'm trying to do is just start over. I erase the eye. I'm noticing where does this eye start, and I notice it's a little bit below the left eye. Notice that? That's a little bit below. So this just goes to show you're never locked in, or when you think it's too late to make a change, you'd be surprised what you can change and at what point you change it. So here we are, completely erasing what we had before, and it's totally fine. So if you're a beginner, get comfortable with that. Get comfortable with that fact, knowing that, you know, it's okay to erase, and you're really not as locked in or as stuck with your drawing as you think you are. You can always make changes. So that's what we're doing here. We're just redrawing this eye. I'm trying to make sure, or try to keep in mind, to keep this eye lower than the left eye. It's sort of a bad habit of mine, is to make the eyes, you know, level on the same line, and that's something that obviously is a mistake in this particular photo, because her eyes aren't on the same level. She's kind of got that little head tilt. So we're just redrawing the eye. And this right here, this part is all in real time. I didn't want to speed this up. I just wanted you to see kind of the pace at which I draw. You know, sometimes we watch things sped up and we get this false impression of, you know, wow, you guys draw so fast. No, it's a pretty slow process, but that's fine. It's very relaxing, and that's why I like drawing. I find relaxation in it. Why do you like drawing, speaking of which? Let me know. Leave me a comment below. Let me know why you like drawing. And if you're just learning how to draw, let me know that too. What brought you to this channel? I'm curious to know. I want to thank everybody for watching this channel of mine. It's growing quite nicely. And I think at the time of this filming we are just a little over 230 subscribers, so thank each and every one of you. And yeah, hopefully we're going to get this bigger, and we're going to do a lot more fun things on this channel. As we get bigger, I plan on doing some live drawing, live interaction drawing, so you can actually see me drawing live and submit questions or comments, and I'll see them at the same exact moment. I think that'll be fun. Not quite sure when I'm going to do that. That might be something I'm going to do when we hit 1,000 subscribers. So I really appreciate you spreading the word and sharing these videos, liking the videos, adding them to your own playlists, anything to help get the channel more exposure. It's going to help us reach our goal and do these fun things that I have in mind. And of course, if you have any questions, just leave me a comment. I do answer and read all of my comments, and probably what I will try and do on future videos is take some of your questions and answer them while we're reviewing these sort of portraits that we're doing. So if you have any questions, just please let me know, as we're still finishing up this eye here. Notice by lowering it down a little bit, we do kind of have that sort of angle, so I feel pretty good about that. We do still have to make a few other changes here, because her head, even though we kind of changed the eyes, her head still kind of looks like it's straight up and down. So we're going to use some shadowing and, you know, shading to help create the illusion that the head's going to be tilted. In this video, we are going to finish this drawing too, so you're going to see how we take this rough drawing that you see right here and end up with a nice looking portrait at the end. So while I'm doing this, I guess I can tell you a little bit about myself while we're watching me finish this eye in real time. I'm born and raised in California. I am 43 years old right now. I'm married and I have two beautiful girls, beautiful daughters. One of them is going to be 15 and the other one is going to be 12. So yeah, I got my hands full over here. I have not been drawing my whole life, so for those of you watching who might think, yeah, I wish I can draw but I can't. Well, I was like that too. I haven't even drawn 100 portraits. This portrait you're seeing me draw right here is probably number 70 or something. And that's only since probably 2014, I think, is when I started. So I would draw just, you know, I would try and draw a portrait once a week or so. After coming up here soon, in the next probably month or so, I'll reach the end of this sketchbook that I'm drawing in. And I think when I reach the end of the sketchbook, I'll do a video and share with you all the portraits I've done from page 1 to the end of this page, or the end of the sketchbook. And it'll be kind of neat to see how my drawing has evolved and changed since I've been doing this since 2014. I think you'll get a kick out of it. So we're kind of just changing the mouth a little bit. Again, just like the tilt with the eyes, I needed to change the tilt of the mouth. So I'm making sure that left side of the mouth is a little bit higher than the right side. And so I just use my eraser to kind of change the little corners of the mouth. Raise this side a little bit higher. What do you think? Does it kind of look like her at this point? I'm not too sure. It kind of looks like a cartoon version of her a little bit. Like if a cartoon version of her like had a really rough night drinking and then got out of bed on the wrong side, that's kind of what our drawing looks like right now. But the way we finish this drawing, I think we bring it home and I think it ends up looking pretty good. So please stay tuned and keep watching as we finish this drawing a little bit faster now. So now I'm speeding it up. I think this is about 3 times my speed. And look what I'm doing here. I'm kind of shaving the side of the face a little bit. I'm noticing if you squint your eyes and you look at the reference picture on the upper right hand corner, that left side of her face almost goes straight down. And the way I had it was kind of curved. So I'm going to start to slowly straighten that left side. And we're just adding a little bit more hair here. I'm trying to look at that overall shape of the hair. Sometimes in order to make a drawing feel, feel like it's coming together, it's important to put the hair in, or at least the shape of the hair. Because that's kind of what you see subconsciously when you're looking at the drawing. You're looking at the shape. So it's important to get those shapes in there. And notice this line right here, this shadow that I'm just drawing, kind of creating that tilt of the face on this side. So we're slowly tilting the head. Slowly doing that just with the shadows. Now, one of the things I'm also conscious of is the forehead. I was trying to make sure the forehead isn't too big. I think right now I might have the forehead a little too big, but that's easy to adjust the size of the forehead because you could just bring the hair down a little bit. I think I mentioned it in my last video that bringing the forehead down or bringing the chin up, those are usually easier for me to do because you don't have to move the eyes and the nose and the mouth. You just adjust the upper two lines, the hairline and the chin line. Most of this drawing is done using a charcoal number 4 pencil. But some of these darker hair areas like this, I'm using a number 6 charcoal pencil. It's a little bit softer, so you get these darker tones. So a lot of times for the hair, I'll use the number 6 pencil. And then for smaller details, I'll use a number 2 charcoal pencil. And right here, I'm using a smudge stick that I made from newspaper. So just rolled up newspaper, and I use that to kind of help me blend. Kind of making it a little bit smoother now. And this stage of the drawing, we're taking that rough drawing that we started with, and we're slowly going to make it more realistic. We're slowly going to bring it more to life. And if you've never drawn before, or you're just learning about drawing, that's the funnest part, or one of the funnest parts about drawing like this, is starting to bring it to life. Starting to make this drawing look like a realistic person, somebody with personality looking back at you. So here we are just working on the little shadow underneath the chin. And you'll occasionally see me use my finger to kind of blend. Sometimes using your finger, it gives a different kind of effect that a blending stump doesn't do. So when I use my finger, it doesn't really take off any charcoal. It just blends it in, makes it smoother. If you use a blending stump, sometimes it lightens it up while it blends. So just kind of, as you're drawing and learning, just experiment with different things. See what works best for you. I'll use my finger a lot when blending the hair for the same reason, because it just smooths it out without taking a lot off of the charcoal. So while we're still speeding through this drawing, I would be curious to know if you can leave me a comment. Let me know if you like this kind of narration, this kind of talking over a sped up video. Is that helpful to you? Let me know. I think what I might do in my next drawing is I might actually do it in real time. Since I'm breaking these drawings up into multiple videos now, I think I might try real time and do, multiple videos in real time for the week. That way, it's not sped up. You can hear my thoughts in real time, and you'll have more content to watch during the week. So let me know what works best. I want to do what's, best on the channel. So if you have a preference, please let me know, and I will do my best to make it happen. So see, you can already see her face is getting a little more smoother. It's slowly starting to look a little more realistic. You could see her head is slowly starting to tilt just by how we're shading things, how we've already readjusted the eyes and the mouth. And this side of the face right here is shadowed, so that's going to give us even more of an illusion that her head is tilting away, because that's where the shadows are. They're going down and to the right. And if you ever want to know where the light's coming from, just kind of look where the shadows are. Look underneath the nose. And look underneath the lips. You can see that the shadow, based on where the shadow is underneath the nose, that tells you the light is up and above, and it's shining down in that direction. So when you're trying to shade something and you're having a hard time knowing where shadows might be, just look for certain key shadows, those cast shadows of like the nose and the mouth, and that'll tell you exactly where the shadows are going to be, which direction the light is coming from. Oh, by the way, totally forgot, but off subject. If anybody has Instagram and wants to follow me on Instagram, I'll put a link to that below. That's Learn Portrait Drawing on Instagram. And I also just created a Twitter account, so I will post occasional things on Twitter. And you can follow me on Twitter with the handle Jeff Mash Draws. So Jeff Mash Draws on Twitter, Learn Portrait Drawing on Instagram. And of course, if you want to tell a friend or something about this channel on YouTube right now, I bought the domain name learnportraitdrawing.com, which will take you right to this YouTube page. So if you want to tell somebody about it, I really appreciate it. And you can just say, go to learnportraitdrawing.com, check out the videos, and they'll take you right here on YouTube. Now here in the hair, I'm using a small eraser. This is giving me these highlights right here. It's just a small rubber eraser, and I'm pulling down, and it's creating these little highlights. And I find that works really great to bring out that reflective light, see? Just like that. A kneaded eraser doesn't really quite do it. It doesn't create those fine little tiny highlights. So it's just one of those school erasers, those little pink ones. I just cut off a little piece of it, and I just use it to create those highlights in the hair. And then here above the eyelid, it's always nice to kind of erase that. It creates a nice little highlight. It makes the eyes look more three-dimensional. Notice it looks like her eyes kind of peering out of the shadow. Right in here in the middle of the eye, the concavity of the eye is usually darker. And then the bottom lip is usually catches most of the light. So I want to keep that relatively free from any dark shadows. I'll just shade around it like this. And we'll just leave that highlight on there. I kind of like the way her lips are looking at this point. They kind of have that sort of pouty look. Kind of just captures her personality pretty good. I do work a little bit on the mouth here. I want to make sure it's not too dark. If you make the lips too dark, it reads like she's wearing lipstick. And so it's sort of this fine little dance that I have to do with this drawing. Not to make the lips too dark, but not too light either. So again, just not to state the obvious, but this style of drawing, you could see I jump all over the place, and I like trying to use shapes and values, you know, the darks and the lights, to make the drawing come together. I don't trace anything. We don't use grids. That's not what I want to teach you how to do. I want you to learn how to just freehand a drawing. Look at a picture and use these skills to freehand it like we're doing here. You get a lot more freedom that way. You end up learning a lot more, learning how to draw things just by looking at it, without having to feel like you need to trace it or, you know, anything like that. This is just, you get a lot more freedom this way, and I find a lot more satisfaction doing this kind of drawing, this kind of portrait. And we can make something that looks realistic, but in very little time. This drawing only took 3 hours from start to finish to do. And of course I'm speeding it up here because, you know, I don't want to have a 3-hour long video. But yeah, I mean, if you like this kind of drawing, you want to draw something nice, and you know, you don't want to spend 100 hours of your time doing it, I really recommend you check out all these videos on my channel, because I try and show you how I do it, where it really doesn't take that much time. Now again, we're drawing some highlights in the hair and blending it in with the finger, using that eraser. And see, the face is almost pretty much done, so when I get to that stage, that's usually when I like working on the hair. Making the hair a little more realistic helps bring the face, you know, bring up the face, the realism aspect of it. And we haven't started anything below the chin really at this point. I haven't worked on her jacket or the shadows, smoothing the shadows out underneath her neck. I'm still just trying to make the face here smooth. You can see we're just adding a little bit of shadowing with our blending stick, smoothing out what we have. And that blending stump is good. It helps put shadows on the face without adding really a lot of charcoal to it. So I'm trying to straighten out this side a little bit here. Make this look less curvy. So back up here to the forehead and the hair. I'm just trying to get these highlights down correctly. The other great thing about charcoal is you don't got to draw every strand of hair. You know, this is mostly just a lot of shading and then some individual strands like you see me doing. Just some individual strands here and there, but mostly just shading darkness, using my finger to smudge it, and then using the eraser to kind of bring out some highlights. So the camera just cut a little bit to a different angle. That was me coming back from a break. And now I'm realizing I need to straighten this out. Just the side needs to be a little bit straighter. So I'm doing that here, just using my pencil, because when I squint my eyes, I'm seeing that's mostly straight, and the mouth needs to come out a little bit. I notice it needs to slightly come out, so we're going to erase right here and slowly extend out the mouth just a little bit. It needs to come out right about here. See, and a lot of times you're scared to make to erase, because now look how funny the mouth looks. It looks like she has a fat lip. But don't be afraid to make mistakes, or don't be afraid to erase, because what you already drew, you can draw again. So you got to constantly remind yourself that you're not going to mess anything up. If you erase it, you can draw it right back. And so that's kind of what I'm telling myself here. Just don't panic. Yeah, the mouth looks a little bit weird right now, but that's okay. We drew a mouth before, we can draw a mouth again. So I kind of pretty much am erasing the whole thing right here, trying to establish the middle part of the mouth, how it comes across right here. And then I'm connecting that middle part to the corners of the mouth, since we know where the corners are. And again, I'm not getting worked up that it looks a little funny right now. I know I can draw it back, so that's what we're doing. We're just slowly gonna create that mouth again. But this time we're making it a little bit bigger than we had it. Being careful to maintain that slant, that it's higher on the one side than the other side. And I'm looking at that bottom lip. She's got really full lips, so I'm trying to maintain that, keep that true to what I'm seeing on the reference. Looking at where the shadow starts under the lip. Doesn't start all the way out, so keeping that in mind. Right here on this bottom part of the upper lip, it's darker. So we just shade it, and then I'm going to just kind of blend it in. Just blend it ever so slightly. Smooth it out. And the whole time I'm doing this, I'm constantly looking back and forth, back and forth. You can see my head back and forth, because I'm constantly looking right at the reference picture, which is on my iPad, just out of view of the camera. You know, in the beginning, I didn't used to look at the picture a lot. I'd look at it, and then I would draw what I thought I was seeing, and I end up messing up a lot that way. I would draw things that aren't really there. So every, few seconds, I'm just looking back at the reference picture. Constantly asking myself, is, this angle correct? Is this dark enough? Does this need to be straight? Does this have to be, come out further? All these questions, just constantly asking myself these questions. So now underneath the nose here, I want to lighten this up with my eraser, because right underneath here, it's right where the light is hitting and creating this shadow. So if you want a shadow to really stand out, make sure it's light around that shadow. So see, I'm just using my eraser to kind of make that shadow stand out even more. I gotta fix the lips a little bit. And then right here is the fulcrum. So a little shadow right there. Yeah, I'm liking the way it's starting to look. It's starting to slowly come together. Putting this little highlight right here on the bridge of the nose and right on the tip of the nose. And then I'll just knock it down a little bit. Don't want it too bright. But noses are really fun to draw, and that's one of the reasons why, because they got these points of highlights that help make it look three-dimensional. They really make it stand out. What's your favorite part of drawing? If you're made it this far in the video and you hearing me ask this question, let me know in the comments, what do you like to draw? What is your favorite feature of the face? Do you like to draw the eyes? Do you like noses? Do you like mouths? Let me know. Mine is probably definitely nose and then followed by the eyes. And mouth is probably last for me. So right here I'm kind of making this eye just a little bit, I'm making the eyelid a little bit bigger. So it gives it more of the impression that she's looking down at us. So this whole eyelid here, I'm just making sure it's a little bit bigger. So that looking down angle is something I really want to capture. I really want it to look like we're a little bit lower than she is. And that's usually something important that I want to suggest, that you challenge yourself like that. Don't just always pick an easy picture. Pick a picture like this where it might have some difficulty. You know, head slightly turned at an angle. Face slightly looking down at you. You know, these are all little things that I chose on purpose. I chose this drawing for that reason, because I wanted to challenge myself and see if I could translate those aspects of the picture and see if I can, you know, put that into my drawing. And when you accomplish something like that, you feel even better because you know you just did something that you challenge yourself to do. And if you don't get it right, well then that's just motivation to try harder the next time and see where you made a mistake. And you know, you learn something from every drawing. I say that all the time. Every drawing will teach you something if you're willing to listen. So here we are, kind of moving down towards the jacket. And I'm not being super precise with it, but I am trying to draw just little key things. Like I wanted to get the collar in there. I wanted to get the white shirt right here. So right here. And then the jacket, you know, it just kind of comes down in this way. And just like that, I'm just going to scribble in some colors, some value here for the jacket. And then I use my finger to blend it in. Now look how the finger just blends it so nicely. It's not super smooth, but it's blending in the charcoal. It's not taking any charcoal off of the paper. It's just blending it into the background. And see, now that we've kind of added the clothing a little bit, now the face is starting to look even better. And the hair and everything like that, we're starting to really look more realistic here. It's starting to really come together. Now you'll see me still kind of working on the hair. I want to make sure that the hair doesn't look like it's too blonde. So that's something to always keep in mind is, you know, the lighter it is, it might look like somebody with blonde hair. So if she's a brunette, make sure you really highlight those dark areas of the hair. And here I'm just kind of adding a little bit of darkness to the upper eyelid, create that shadow that happens over the eyes. Trying to work on the lips a little bit. Make sure we're true to, you know, the form of the lips. And then there's a lot of charcoal on this white shirt, so we're going to slowly have to erase all this charcoal. Just like this. Doesn't get it all off, so I'll just use my kneaded eraser, fold it over a few times. Erase, 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 fold it over, erase, erase. That's a great thing about kneaded erasers. You just, when they get a lot of charcoal on them, you just kind of fold them over, you know, pull it apart, fold it over like taffy, and then it creates a nice newer surface to erase. And now that shirt looks really white. So we're almost at the end of this video. You could see the drawings coming together pretty nicely as we're working on the shadows of the jacket. Creates that three-dimensional illusion that, you know, the collar of the jacket is casting a shadow. This is all the 6B charcoal pencil. So now I'm using my blending stump and just slowly blending in the whole shadows of the neck. And then I can use my eraser to kind of bring out some of the lighter areas. It's a little lighter down closer towards the collar, so I just want to make sure that was a little bit lighter. So right here, let's work on the shadows of this part of the jacket, just like we did on the other side, using our 6B pencil. And if you want to know the exact tools I'm using, I have that in the description below. Just scroll down and you'll see a link for the art supplies that I have, that I bought on Amazon for super cheap, so it's definitely not expensive at all. Notice right there I had put in the button of the jacket. I'm just using my eraser and just creating a little circle, and that's it. No details. Your brain will read that, and just you'll know it's a button. So again, working a little bit more, making this a little bit darker so the face will stand out even more. The darker you make this right here under the chin, the more the face is going to stand out. So keep that in mind too. So this is me doing some last minute touches on the eye. I was seeing if I can raise it up just a little bit, just a slight hair. And so we're slowly changing the shape a little, but I think it's necessary to do this here. And again, look, this is almost the end of the drawing, and I'm still making changes. So let that be a good lesson that I've, going to keep saying over and over again, that, if you think something needs to change, use your eyes. Your eyes will tell you if it's right or wrong. If your eyes are telling you that something needs to be different, listen to that and then make those changes. You don't need to measure a whole bunch of stuff. Your eyes will tell you what needs to change. And so that's kind of how I've been drawing these last few portraits, is just not doing any measuring, but just asking my eyes to tell me if something looks right or looks wrong. And like before, when we started this out, the very first part of this video, my eyes were telling me that her eyes needed to be more at an angle. I didn't need a measurement for that. I was able to see that. So I just erased it and drew it the way that looked better to my eye. Now, is it going to be 100% perfect? No, because we're not a photocopier. We're not trying to create an exact, undetectable image. We want our image to be an interpretation of what we're looking at. And you can see by my drawing, it's not 100% perfect. It maybe doesn't look like her 100%, but I think it looks enough like her to be a good representation of her, a good artistic representation of the picture. I think we've captured that, and I think that that's what art should be about. It should be interpreting what we're seeing and translating that onto paper. And so here we're just doing last minute touches, making sure the dark areas of the hair are still dark, using the side of our pencil to kind of create these little hairs, flicking our pencil here and there. Creates more of a realistic look. And that is pretty much it. That's pretty much it. All we're doing is just these final touches, and then just gonna have to sign our name. And of course, take our eraser and start erasing these spots here, these smudges that we don't want staying on the paper. But that's it. Sign our name right now, and be confident and happy with what we did. And this is what we did. So I really appreciate you watching, listening to me babble on. Future videos, I think we'll do some real-time stuff. But check out these other videos on the screen. Check out part 1 if you haven't already. And we will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.